Okay, family. I don't know. I'm out of focus. There we go. There we go. I'm out of focus. So y'all just gonna have to bear with me for a moment. I am going live on you on Facebook as well. If y'all are there on YouTube, be sure to share the video. Now I'm on Facebook Live. We're going to talk about Harriet Tubman. For my Facebook community, my video is not going to be as clear because my equipment is at my office. So I'm using what I have, which is my laptop, and this is how it looks. So there's nothing I can do about that. For my YouTube community, was good, y'all. We're about to have a great conversation. I love every last one of you guys, and I appreciate y'all being on. I see my YouTube family. Yes, the girl is back. I am back. I love every last one of you guys. I'm facing the cell phone camera on YouTube from a distance. So if I'm not able to see your name as you guys are coming in, like keeping busy, Ramsey, what's up, Ramsey? If I'm not able to see some of your names, Ronnie Fitch, I'm not too sure. Just forgive me. For my Facebook family, y'all can come over here on Facebook, but also do know I'm live on YouTube too. I'm trying to wean you guys off of the Facebook platform and onto the YouTube platform because I will not be remaining live on Facebook much longer. So make sure you're going. We're going to talk about this movie, Harriet Tubman. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to give a reason and an explanation why I went to go see it. Not because I wanted to go see it, because I know the truth and I didn't want to go see it. However, I'm going to give you guys a reason why I went to go see it. Not because I owe you a reason, but we family, and I think we have a connection. I think we share a lot of things, and we ought to know that because I don't want you guys to do something I ordinarily would not do. So ordinarily, I would not have gone to see this movie, not one iota whatsoever, because I knew it was a bunch of lies. So I would have never gone to see such a wicked, devilish movie by Hollywood. You know, because that's what Hollywood does. Hollywood tells lies. And many of us, not all of us, but many of our people, we don't necessarily do the research that we have to do. And there's no shots. This is no shot to our people. All right. This is no shot to our people. But let's just be honest. We don't necessarily do the research that we're supposed to do in order for us not to be tricked in our minds by Hollywood. So truth be told, many of us, not all of us, but many of us, we continuously get tricked. And we walk around believing the stuff that Hollywood tells us is true. And we share this information with our children, not realizing the damage that we are doing. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I'm not home alone. And my youngest child is here. And you know, to my children, mommy is an angel to my children. Rightfully so. But y'all know how I get down. Y'all know I got a real filthy mouth. But I'm going to try not to be filthy in my language whatsoever. So I'm going to need you guys to share the video. Share the video, both on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm going to need you guys to share the video. Tell your friends to come on through. I'm going to need you guys to also consider getting this book. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but it's called Harriet Tubman, right? The Moses of Her People. Can y'all see that? Harriet Tubman, the Moses of Her People. It may not be as clear for you guys on Facebook because I'm using my laptop computer, but I know you guys over there on YouTube see it as clear as day. If you're going to get any book, you're going to get this book. This is the book you're going to get. If you're going to want to know anything about Harriet Tubman, this is the book you're going to get. Now, let me tell you how I got put onto this book. And this is important. This is very important, people. I want y'all to hear all of this. I got put onto this book by my brother, my friend, and my colleague, in which I love, Dr. Umar Johnson. Y'all know who had been following me. We went to the gravesite of Harriet Tubman. Y'all know who have been following me. We went to the home of Harriet Tubman. You guys in the community who have been with me since day one, you guys know we have been researching our history for quite some time, and I believe it was a whole year, we went and we followed the lives of certain people, and Harriet Tubman was one of them. Now, I don't get caught up in the nonsense, the division, or the gossip that might be found among some of our people. I am associated with people who are actually doing things. And I know some people here like to believe that we ain't doing nothing. We just come on YouTube and Facebook and we just talk just because. I'm not about just talking. I'm not about just coming on YouTube and Facebook. And that's why you guys don't see me much, because I'm actually doing the work. You got to do the work. So when I went to go see this movie, I already was armed with the knowledge and the information I needed about this movie. I already knew that it was going to be full of lies. So somebody might say, but Dr. Shonna, then why'd you go and see it? I'm going to tell you why. Because my son is a part of a phenomenal program in Newark, New Jersey, and it's called STEP. Striving Together to Achieve Something. I don't know. I should know the acronym. I really should. But it's called the STEP program. And it's a rites of passage program for young boys. And they take them all the way up to 18, I believe, maybe even 21. But it's a rites of passage program. And part of being in these kind of community programs where it's funded by the people, it's funded by us. All of us, we're like a family. We're all connected. Some of us don't even realize that our kids are in the program. Somebody came up to me at the movie theater and said, Dr. Shonna, I thought that was your son in the program. My son is in the program and it looked like your son. And I was like, nah, that can't be Dr. Shonna's son. And she said, I had no idea. And this is how connected we are. We don't even realize how connected we are. So part of this program, all the kids, all the parents had to sell tickets to this movie. Now, I was torn. Just to be honest with you guys, because I ain't want to sell no damn tickets for this movie. Because I knew the movie was full of crap. I didn't need anybody to tell me the movie was going to be full of crap. I didn't need anybody to tell me the movie was going to be full of lies. That's something I already knew. But at the same time, my son has an obligation to raise money. My son has a commitment to fund this STEP program where we keep Black boys out of the streets, off of drugs, from selling drugs, killing each other. Newark is not a walk in the park. And what they do, what the STEP program does with Black boys is phenomenal. So I was like a rock in a hard place and I had to sell tickets. So, I sold a few tickets. I didn't sell much because I know my people would have looked at me like, you crazy as hell. So I didn't ask any of my people about the tickets. So that's why I went to go see the movie. Now y'all got it. Make sure y'all share the video. Thank you so much, Shantae. Shantae says she loves my sister locks. Ooh, my locks. Thank you so much. Share the video, Facebook. Share the video, YouTube. Let's get going. So let's talk about this movie. If you guys have not seen the movie and you plan on seeing the movie, I just want you to know I'm going to spoil the movie for you. Just want you to know. So if you don't want the movie to be spoiled, you might want to log off, okay? But if you want to know the truth, so when you go watch the movie, your mind is not co-opted and you're not conditioned to believe things that aren't true, then stay on. Stay on. Thank you so much, Michi, for sharing that video on Facebook. Thank you so much. On YouTube. Thank you so much, Michi. I need y'all to share the video as well. I want you to know at the beginning of this movie, this is how it starts. She's lying in the field and her husband comes with a gentle touch to wake her up out of her sleep. Now, she has these spells. We're going to talk about why Harriet Tubman has these spells. But she has these spells where she goes into a deep sleep and she sees visions. And this guy that's portrayed as her husband wakes her up and they go about their business, all excited that they're married and got their papers, and goes to her alleged slave owner to ask for their freedom. And so as he goes over to the slave owner and he tells the slave owner why they should have their freedom, He has this paper. Harriet couldn't read. She was illiterate. He goes over to them in the movies. This is all in the movies. I'm talking about not real life. I'm going to the movies. And the slave master takes and rips up the paper. Now, I already knew that was going to happen. Rips up the papers. Harriet's mother's crying. The father's hurt. They want their freedom. The freedom is not given. And then the slave master says to his son, I told you a long time ago, or the God is portrayed, I believe portrayed as a son, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Because I was just like, I'm not for the BS. So some things I didn't capture, just to be honest with you. I'm just going to be telling you the truth. Some things I didn't capture. But he said, I told you should have sold her a long time ago. She was going to be problems. Harriet is upset. She goes to her tree where she prays to God. And she prays for the master to die. And the son said to her that, he never really liked her praying. It made his skin crawl. Right? And he said basically he was mocking her about her praying. All of a sudden, the slave master dies. The son is upset. And now the son is like, we're going to sell Harriet. The news travels that she's going to be sold. She decides that she ain't going to be sold. And she makes a decision that she was going to run away. So she goes to John Tubman to tell him that she wanted to run away. And in the movie, YouTube, in the movie, Facebook, in the movie, he tells her he's going to go with her and all this stuff. And she says, no, don't go. So they had to put in a love scene in the movie. They had to put in like this love scene. She says, no, I want you to stay here. Doesn't go. Harriet gets ready to run away. Her father tells her to go to the pastor. Good old Christians, right? Go to the pastor for her blessing. In the movie, she goes to the pastor for her blessing. And the pastor told her basically not to have any fear. He gives her his blessing and sends her on the way. Now, Harriet escapes the plantation, escapes being sold, right? This is in the movie. This is what Hollywood says. And she's on this bridge, and her slave masters, come on back home. I promise I ain't going to sell you, right? Come on back home. And she's looking, she gets to the bridge. She said, no, don't do that. Don't jump off the bridge. Jumping off the bridge is a sin. Blah, 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 blah. Harriet jumps off the bridge. She's presumed dead. But she survives, obviously. Allegedly in the movie, she steals a ride, not hitches a ride. She steals a ride. She gets in the back of somebody's wagon. He takes her all the way up to the line that's close to the freedom line and says, I know you in there. Get on out the vehicle. She gets out of the wagon. He says, I can drive you across the freedom line, or you can walk over the freedom line. She decides that she's going to walk. So this, I'm getting upset already. I can tell I'm getting upset already. Because you know why I'm getting upset? Let me pause for a second. Y'all make sure y'all share the video. Share the video on YouTube. Share the video on Facebook. Share the video. Let me pause for a second. White people always got to interject as though they're the saviors. Oh, he's taking her to the freedom line. I know you in there. Get on out. You want me to drive you over? You got it. He doesn't rat on her. He takes her all the way to freedom land. And she decides that she's going to walk over on her own. White people have always got to be the savior. Always got to insert that they are the saviors. I don't know if y'all caught that, but I thought it was the craziest thing on earth. So now I'm getting hot in the movie theater. I'm getting hot like, yeah, this is this bullshit. I'm getting hot. But let me go on. So she walks over to the freedom land. She's looking at her hand. She's all excited that she's free. And then she finds a black man. He gives her a name of somebody, points her in the right direction, tells her how to walk into the town so she won't be a suspect over in Philadelphia. She goes over to Philly. She's met this black guy. His last name is Steele. I can't remember his name in the movie. Something Steele. I can care less. It ain't in this book, but his name was Steele. She meets this guy named Steele, last name Steele. He brings her over to a house that's owned by a wealthy black woman who is free. She gets her cleaned up and all this. So maybe that happened. I don't know. It's not in the book. Maybe it happened. I don't know. But this book is told by Harriet herself. Believe what you want to believe. Y'all like Hollywood. I know Hollywood. I know what they do. They possess our minds. So I don't entertain the nonsense. I really don't. But nonetheless, she gets cleaned up. She becomes lonely. She wants her husband. The guy, Mr. Steele, the black guy, tells us too risky to return. She won't make it. She snaps at him. Don't tell me what I can't do. I'm going back. So she goes back on her journey to get a husband. This is all in the movie. This is all in the movie. We're about to get into it right now because I'm about to wrap this up. On the journey, back to the place. She gets there. She finds out her husband has already been married. He got remarried. He has a child, or at least a child on the way, something like that. She gets so sad, gets so mad, all this stuff. Then she decides to go for some of her family members to make her way back. Here's the issue I have. The person that portrays her on the way back is a black man. The person who offers a bounty on her head is a black man. Not in the book, but in the movie. In the movie is a black man. And the slave master, who is the son of the slave master who died, who she prayed for him to die, remember? In the movie, not in the book, but in the movie, is secretly in love with her. Let's stop right there for a second. Hollywood, aka white people, have to always portray that a white man wants the black woman, the black slave. Mind you, she wasn't even, according to slave standards for selling them off, a desirable slave because she had a head injury. But all of a sudden, he wants her. He kills the black hunt bounty that he hires to capture her, and he allegedly told him he wants her alive and unharmed. And the black bounty, allegedly in the movie, went to go shoot her. The slave master's son sees him, does it, puts a bullet in his head because he wants his Harriet alive and well. Somebody said, "Woo, child, my head is hurting already." Your head is hurting. Imagine how I felt in the movie theater. My head was hurting. Now, let me say this before I go ahead into what the book really says. Let me say this. If you just want to be entertained because you like slave movies and you like to see us all like scared of the white man. Ooh, we so scared of the white man. If you like that, go on to the movie. Go on. Go ahead to the movie and see this and be all excited and say, "Oh, this is so good. My Harriet Tubman. Yes, I love it. Yes." Go ahead. But I want to say this to you, and I'm going to say this very clearly, and I mean this seriously. We got to stop rushing to see these movies without knowing our freaking history. We got to stop rushing to see this garbage that Hollywood puts out there, that white and black people alike see, that they concoct more stories out of. They feed it to the children, and they tell a lot of lies. And our children are eating it up because we are the ones that's misinformed, because we don't know our history. So our children are eating up lies and they're believing it to be true. Now, I'm not going to say that there weren't tidbits in the movie that was actual. I'm not going to say that because there absolutely was. But they were more concerned about how they were going to look. Y'all know what I'm talking about when I say they. They were more concerned about how they were going to look as opposed to telling the freaking truth. And that's that white guilt. That's that white guilt. Ain't nobody want to look bad. So we're going to put it on the black men. We're going to put it on the black snitch, the barracoon. He wasn't a barracoon. He was just a coon. But we're going to put it on him. And we're going to put it on the black bounty hunter like they were the bad guys because her good old master wanted her alive because he was secretly in love. So much so that this slave master in the movie goes over to Philadelphia to collect his slaves because the Fugitive Slave Act was passed around 1860, around there, 1850, 1860, something like that. Don't fact check me, look it up. And so it gave them permission to go across state lines to collect their slaves. So it put bounties out on slaves' heads. People was worth a lot more and they wanted slaves home. That is actual. That is a fact. You can look that up. That is history. But all this stuff, and not only does the slave master get to Philadelphia, where she was allegedly at in this woman's house, this black woman's house who was free, born free and was wealthy, but they beat her, beat the free woman that's allegedly hiding, Harriet, beats her to death. And guess who's the one who administers the fatal blow to this black woman that kills her in the movie? Yes. Was it the white slave master, the son of the slave master, or was it the black bounty? Of course, the bad black guy. Because black men, according to Hollywood, the lies that Hollywood tell, black men are dangerous. So he's the one that kills her. Not the white man, but the black man. You see where I'm going with this, right? So I started picking up on so many things. It was a bunch of bullcrap. And it was dangerous. And I'm looking at the audience. And they're all excited. And I didn't want to say anything because y'all know I'm a rebel. And I didn't want to tell anybody what I really thought. I just came, okay, yeah, it's a decent movie. Okay, yeah. I have a lot of accounts that's wrong, and I'm going to talk about it. Oh, I know you're going to talk about it, Dr. Shonna. I know you're going to talk about it. I said, sure am. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. But I didn't want to spoil it for everybody that was sitting up in the theater excited about this crap. Didn't want it. So I'm going to spoil it for y'all right now. Okay? I'm going to spoil it to right. Let's back up. First of all, according to the book, get this book. Let me tell you about this book. Harriet Tubman, A Moses to Her People, was written by Sarah Bradford. It's important for you to know this because Sarah Bradford was around when Harriet was alive. And Harriet's home is located in Auburn, New York. It is important for you to know that. And what was happening during that time was Harriet's home was at jeopardy of being lost, right? Foreclosed on. And so Sarah Bradford, in an effort to gather around as much people as possible, the Quakers particularly, right? Because the Quakers, as we know in history, they helped a lot. Now, it doesn't mean that we trust all the Quakers, but they were allies. A lot of them, let's just put it that way. There were many of them that were allies. That's what we're going to say. And so her ally, Sarah Bradford, was taking an account of her story because Queen Mother Harriet Tubman was illiterate. She could not read. And she was so powerful. Her story was so powerful that Sarah knew if I can just get the recording down, document as much as I can, verify as much as I can, get a book together. This is the second edition. But get a book together and sell it, we can raise funds to keep the house. The house is still there. And on the property, there's also a museum that tells you all about her life. It's all documented. It is still there. So this lady got from Queen Mother herself the story. And in the appendix of this book, you will find accounts of senators and other people who were involved in the Underground Railroad speaking on their behalf of Harriet Tubman. And it was all verified. Proof. But if you let Hollywood tell you the story, you will believe a bunch of lies. You will be taken away of the illusion that Hollywood creates in movies, and you will believe this to be true. First of all, let's start with the very first beginning of the movie. And then I'm going to get the hell on out of here. Because I got things to do. I got to go to New York. Got to get on and go to New York. But let's start. Let's start first, people. Come on, family. Share the video. Share the video because we're going to get into this right now. I need y'all to get your pen and paper. Y'all need to look this stuff up. Y'all need to verify it. And don't verify it on white sites or on Google. Don't Google and then say, oh, because it says history.org is the truth. Because white lies is more than just telling a little lie. White lies are literally exactly what it is. White lies. We got to stop listening to white lies. First of all, Harriet Slave was the son of the owner that owned her father. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, either her father, her mother, or one of her parents. The little boy was her owner, was her master. But he was not of age. And he happened to be a wicked little bastard. And Harriet prayed for him to die. She used to pray for him to get better, for him not to be ill, for him to, change his heart around, to be sweet. You know how us Christians are, right? We like to pray for everybody. Oh, our Lord, just change their heart. Lord, make them a better person. Lord this, Lord that. Save them, save them, save them, save them, save them. And then he was so wicked that she was like, look, kill him dead. And he died. So it was the son. It was the son. It was the son that owned her. But in the movie, the son is a full-grown man chasing her, who's secretly in love with her. And what I don't like about the movie, they skip over the most important part. First of all, you need to explain why she was having spells. You need to explain why she was fainting often. That needs to be explained. But did they explain that in the movie? No. Do you know why they didn't explain it in the movie? Because it would make the devil himself look like the devil. That's why. It's as simple as that. It will make the devil himself look just like the devil. Because I'll read it to you. Let me see if I can find it. I'll read it to you. Because I can't make this stuff up. I can't make this stuff up about what happened. I can't make this stuff up. And I won't. I'm going to read it to you if I can find it. Give me a second, people. You got to first understand this. That when she was a young girl, I'm trying to find it, but y'all got to get the book. When she was a young girl, around 6 years old or 7 years old, she was hired out to a white woman. Now, see, this is why they ain't going to show it, because they like to show white women as the angels. They don't like white women to come off as the wicked people they have been, and that's what history. Now, don't get mad at me because I'm saying the white women are wicked. Do not get mad at me. I'm telling you accounts of history. That is it. I ain't talking about your wife. I ain't talking about your sister-in-law. I ain't talking about your half-sister. I ain't talking about your cousin. I'm not even talking about your mama. I'm just telling you the history. Now, don't get mad at me for telling you the history. But I'm going to tell you what happened. She was sold off to this white woman that wanted somebody to allegedly care for. Don't do that, camera. Don't start doing that. Wanted her to allegedly care for her young child. And when she got to the house, it wasn't just caring for this white woman's young child. It was also maintaining the home. And she used to clean this house, and she didn't really know how to clean. She was a child. She was a baby. So the dust kept settling into the house, and this woman, this white woman, will whip her till her skin would bleed and make her do it all over again. And every time she did it all over again, the dust would settle again and she would get whooped again. The white lady's sister also lived with her and was woken by screaming of young Harriet. And the white woman's sister came down to see what was happening. And she said to her sister, how were you whipping her when you never even taught her? She doesn't know how to clean a home. And so the sister shows Harriet how to clean the home. She opens up the window. She said, you sweep the floor. And when the dust settles, sweep it out the window, out the doors, whatever the case is. And when it settles, then you wipe off the furniture. Because Harriet was cleaning with the windows and the doors closed. So the dust was going up. The dust was coming back down after she wiped off the table, and it was settling again. And she was getting her behind beat because of that by this woman. So it was the woman's sister that stepped in. She also wasn't allowed to go to sleep. She had to make sure that baby stayed asleep because the white woman wanted her rest. And if she was wakened by the baby, Harriet would get a beating. This is how cruel and wicked and inhumane they treated her. But this is how cruel and wicked the white women are. This is how they are. All right? So she had to force herself to stay awake. And in her book, what she said was she had no idea at that time that she was being prepared. She believed she was being prepared for God, by God, in order for her to stay awake on this journey of helping slaves escape. So she's going through cruel, harsh treatment of this white woman, getting her back beaten every single day, not being able to go to sleep, afraid that if she goes to sleep and a baby wakes up, she'll get beat even more. So she was conditioned and trained to stay awake. But she never knew it was going to help her years later when she entered her 20s to help her people escape. So after a while, with all the beatings that she was getting, the white woman felt that she was no damn good and sent her back to her master. Said she wasn't worth a penny. Sent her back to her master. How wicked is that? Then it was a situation where something happened between an overseer and a black man, an enslaved African, and the overseer was going to whip the black man. In her book, according to her book, you guys got to get the book because this is her account of her story. This is not somebody making up their story. It is coming from her herself. Thank you so much, Tony Lindsay, for the donation. Thank you so much for the donation. Coming back from her mouth, she's telling the story. The overseer went to throw a weight at the black man. Harriet, at 13 years of age, the warrior that she was at 13 years of age, let me say this. I wish some of us had the tenacity and the strength that she has in this current day to stand up against a system that continues to treat us like this. Because Harriet, at a tender age of 13, stood in between the overseer and her brother. Now, it wasn't really her brother, but we all sisters and brothers here. And the overseer threw a weight, and the weight hit Harriet in her head, although the weight was meant for the guy he was trying to hit. And the weight cracked her skull, and she fell out. And that's how she got the sleeping spells. And that's how she started to see the visions. But the movie did not tell that. Why? Because the movie did not want to portray the devils as they are, as wicked as they are. Because they like to show them in a benevolent light. Now I know me using the term devil is going to make some of y'all mad. I'm calling it how I see it. If the devil is wicked, if the devil is the master of deception, if the devil lies, it is a deceiver. If the devil kills, steals, and destroys, this is what their book says. This is what their basic instructions before leaving earth, Bible, this is what their book says. And if that is how the devil is portrayed, then we got to call it as we see it. We got to call it as we see it. And ever since that devil cracked her in the head with that weight and damaged her, her value dropped. But that did not stop them, according to her, in her own story, that did not stop them from using her as a workhorse because she was so effective in her work. She was stronger than many enslaved African men on the fields and their work. And they worked her like a dog. And they worked her and worked her and worked her. And part of the agreement was for them not to sell any slaves. But when her slave owner, which was the father's son, was her slave owners, because you guys have to understand that back in those days, they used to gift slaves. Let me change my language. No, Lisa, the white man did not hit her over the head. According to Queen Mother Harriet Tubman herself, Lisa, the white man threw a weight, and she got in between the black man that she was trying to protect and the white devil, and the weight hit her in her head. This is her story. This ain't my story. This is coming from Queen Mother's mouth herself. And we got to know that stuff. Because they're not going to tell us that she was a warrior. They're not going to tell us that she wasn't afraid to go up against this white man and protect her brother. So I say to us sisters all the time, we got to protect our brothers. I say it all the time. I say it all the time. It's a daunting task sometimes, I understand, but it's a necessary one. Because we are in this together. Because they treat us both as animals, and we are stronger together. And I say this all the time. My focus is unifying the black man and the black woman. We are stronger together. Stronger together. That was powerful. Thank you so much for the donation. I don't see the name of the person. Keep him busy. Thank you so much for the donation. I thank you for that so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate that. So yes, I get your point, Lisa. But that's what we have been told. That the white man hit her in the head. Like she was so weak. Boop! Hit her in the head. Nah, baby. Did the weight hit her in the head? Yes. But she was heroic before she even knew the assignment that God had her on. That's how bold she was. That's how bold she was. But they're not going to put that in the movie. They're not going to show that in the movie. Because they don't want their people to be seen as wicked. How come, yes, heroic and bold, how come none of the white people in the movie was portrayed as wicked? It looked like they was just doing their job of getting runaway slaves to come back. Why weren't they portrayed as the wicked devils that they were and are? Why not? Oh, but no. The master in the movie is in love with her. How convenient. He's in love with her in the movie. Then they want to put the love story in there. Like she was so missing her husband. I'm not going to say she wasn't missing her husband. All right, I can read you that part. I highlighted that part in the book. I ain't going to say she wasn't missing her husband. But they made it seem like she went back solely for her husband. That's how they made it seem in the movie. She went back because her visions was telling her, according to her, that she had to go back for her family. She had to free her family. Now, was she married to John Tubman? Yes, she was. Let me read an account that she said. Harriet was married somewhere about 1844 to a free colored man named John Tubman, but she had no children. For the last 2 years of slavery, she lived with Dr. Thompson before mentioned, her own master not being of age. Now remember, I told you her master was the son. It wasn't who he was portrayed to be in the movie. It was the son. Her master was not of age, so she was living with Dr. Thompson. And Dr. T's father, being his guardian, meaning the master's, Dr. T's father being his guardian, as well as the owner of her own father. In 1849, the young man died. That's her master. Died. And the slaves were to be sold, though previously set free by an old will. Harriet resolved not to be sold, and so, with no knowledge of the North, having only heard of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, she walked away one night alone. She found a friend and a white lady who knew her story and helped her on her way. That wasn't portrayed in the movie. It didn't say anything about her jumping off no bridge. Nothing about her jumping off the bridge. After many adventures, she reached Philadelphia, where she found work and earned a small stock of money. Didn't say no black man gave her to a wealthy, free black woman that cleaned her up and she was working there in the house. It doesn't say that whatsoever. It didn't say that no white man brought her to the border so that she can get to the free land. It didn't say that. But Hollywood always has to make it seem like the white people are to get the credit. Let me go on. With this money in her purse, she traveled back to Maryland for her husband, but she found him married to another woman and no longer caring to live with her. This, however, was not until 2 years after her escape, for she does not seem to have reached her old home in the first two expeditions. The first two expeditions. So she went back twice. Twice. Before she found her husband. Doesn't say that. Not at all. In December 1850, she had visited Baltimore and brought away her sister and 2 children who had come from Cambridge in a boat under charge of her sister's husband, a free black man. See, they didn't say that in the movie. They didn't say that in the movie. It was her sister's husband, who was a free black man, that helped her to carry away her sister and her 2 children. But if you let them tell the story, it was the whole entourage of all these white people and some bougie boule black people working all together to help her free people. Let me say that again. If you let them tell the story, as they did in the movies, you would believe that it was a bunch of white people and some boule bougie people that helped her on her initial route back home to get her family. Now, y'all just heard that her sister's husband was a free black man. This is her story from her book, the only book you guys should be reading. That's right, the movie was a lie. The only book you guys should be reading. Now, let me go on now. A few months after she had brought away her brother and 2 other men. So she went back a few months later, got her brother and 2 other men. But it was not till the fall of 1851 that she found her husband and learned of his infidelity. Now, what did I say? I said she did not get all worry-eyed. Oh, I want my husband. I need my husband. I got to go back. After she freed these people. Then she went back for her husband. Come on now. That was something simple. Why couldn't they get that right? It was simple. let's go on now. Let's go on now. My moderators on YouTube, y'all make sure you block any negative energy, because we doing this in the spirit of Queen Mother Harriet Tubman. And we don't want any negative energy up in here, because her story is being told. Her story, not his story, but her story is being told. So my moderators, I need y'all to be on point and get them out of here. It's as simple as that. Because I don't understand crazy people. If you don't like what's being said, you ain't got to watch the video. It's just that simple. And that's what crazy people do. Y'all got to understand crazy people. Some of y'all are crazy people. Y'all got to understand crazy people. They want to come to watch stuff that they don't like. And why do we keep them in our circle? Why do we keep crazy people in our circle? So let's go on. Get rid of the crazies. Get rid of all the crazies. Let's go on. So as I said, but it was not until the fall of 1851 that she found her husband and learned of his infidelity. She did not give way to rage or grief. But in the movie, she did not give way to rage or grief, but collected a party of fugitives and brought them safely to Philadelphia. She didn't lose any sleep. She was focused. Oh, you got a new boo? Peace. I'm on a mission. Period. Period. In December of the same year, she returned again, and led out a party of 11, among them her brother and his wife. With these, she journeyed to Canada, and there spent the winter, for this was after the enforcement of Mason's fugitive slave bill in Philadelphia and Boston, and where there was no safety except under the paw of the British lion, as she quaintly said. So basically what she was saying was, during the 1851, so it was passed in 1850. Remember I told you guys before, between 1850 and 1860, it was 1850 the fugitive slave law was passed. So it was no longer safe for them to stay in Philadelphia or New York. So they made their way to Canada. So she started to do that. But the first winter was terribly severe for the poor runaways. They earned their bread by chopping wood in the snows of a Canadian forest. They were frostbitten, hungry, and naked. Harriet was their good angel. She kept house for her brother, and the poor creatures boarded with her. She worked for them, begged for them, prayed for them, in the strange familiarity of the communion with God, which seems natural to these people, and carried them by the help of God through the hard winter. In the spring, she returned to the States and, as usual, earned money by working in hotels and families as a cook. From Cape May in the fall of 1852, she went back once more to Maryland and brought away 9 more fugitives. Up to this time, she had expended chiefly her own money in these expeditions, money which she had earned from hard work and the drudgery of the kitchen. Never did anyone more exactly fulfill the sense of George Herbert. Now, I want to say this. In the movie, it made it seem like all of this stuff was being funded by a collective. They did not show Harriet using her own money. They did not show Harriet working her behind off, and as she stacked her coins, she went back to get them. If you let them tell it, you would think that they funded her expedition. They funded her expedition. If you let them tell it. If you let them tell it. If you let them tell it. Now, I'm not telling you that there wasn't people that was helping along the way. She even explained how the Underground Railroad went. And we have to understand, and we have to know, I want y'all to look this up, the personal liberty law. It was because of the personal liberty law and how that went about, the Underground Railroad was erected. Now, let me see if I can read that to you guys. But it wasn't as easy and simple as they made it seem in the movie. As though everybody was just working collective and the white people were the one hiding people. There were a lot of free black people on the Underground Railroad that was helping people. There was a lot of free black people. There were even people who went to jail, not because they was able to prove that they were harboring fugitives, but one guy in particular, I think his name was Thomas Garrett. Y'all can look him up. I believe his name was Thomas Garrett. He went to jail for having, was it Thomas Garrett? Give me a second. Okay, here's the story about Thomas Garrett, but that wasn't the story I was going to tell you. I got to get the other guy's name. Thomas Garrett was a guy that helped on the Underground Railroad freeing the slaves. But it was another man that also was helping. I got to get his name. And he was sentenced to jail, not because they proved him as harboring fugitives, but because he had a copy of Uncle Tom's Cabin. And it was illegal for blacks to read. Right? So there was a lot of stuff that went on that was left out of this movie, and only because they wanted to sell their story. But the dangers in selling this story is that people come on and they believe this kind of stuff. That is the dangers of selling the story. And the dangers of selling the story where people believe it is we send our children to the movies and we're thinking we're doing our children a service. We're thinking that we're saying to our children, you're going to learn about our ancestor, Harriet Tubman, and everything that she does. And because we don't have the knowledge, we believe this stuff to be true. And now our children walk away believing lies and believing the benevolence of all these apparent white people, and that black people didn't help escape enslaved Africans at all, but it was all the white people that was helping with this. No. Not true at all. Or that there were rich black people helping. That's not true at all. In the state of Maryland, or maybe I think it was the city of Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken, half of the blacks were enslaved and half of them were free. But they're not going to say that in the movies, because they like us to feel like we were all this downtrodden people. We had no power, we had no connection, had no money, had no property. This is a lie. It is a lie that can be verified. But if we don't read it, we're not going to see it. So we have our children watching these movies like we're these helpless black people that needed white people to get us free. Now, I told y'all I was going to spoil the movie for y'all. But y'all need to know the truth. Thank you so much for blocking these idiots. Thank you so much. We got to understand the truth for what it is. We got to know that. So before we rush to go see this movie, I got more. I can read y'all so much more. You guys got to get the book. Before we go in there with our children, thinking we're teaching our children something, we got to know the truth. We got to know the truth. Then in the movie, let me read this other part. This is very important. So in the movie, they had this part where the two black coons done told the white slave catchers and the owner where Harriet and her crew was going, and they devised a plan to capture her on the bridge that they had to cross. So they showed a girl dressed like a guy in a wagon, and you could tell that this girl was of mixed race and had corn in her wagon, hiding the fugitives there, and she was all afraid, and she was going to help Harriet escape. And so they stopped her. They're asking these questions. She said that who her father was, but it's a guy, she's pretending to be a guy, who her father was. And if somebody recognized and said, oh, you so-and-so son, she says, yes, I am. Oh, he's all good. He's good. Let him through. That was a lie. That was a bold-faced lie. There's so many lies. I wish I could go over this whole book with you guys. That was a lie. You want to know where they got that story from? First of all, it was a guy who was I think he had bricks. He sold bricks. And they all knew who he was. And he was hiding the slaves under the bricks. And first time he went over the bridge, and this is according to the story, they had the bricks in there. They let him through. And he had 2 wagons that went through. So when night fell, since they let him through the beginning part of the day, he returned and he had the fugitives in the wagon hiding them, and they didn't even stop him, and they let him through. And that's how he got them across, and they got out the wagon and went on to freedom. Right? That's the real story. That's the real story. But let me tell you how they took the truth. This is what Hollywood does, and they twisted it. I'm going to read it to you right from her mouth herself, from Queen Mother Harriet herself. Here's what it said. One of Harriet's other brothers had long been attached to a pretty mulatto girl named Catherine. Now, remember I told you, the person going across the bridge in the movie was of mixed race. She was of mixed race, and she was dressed as a boy. You got to remember that. You got to remember that. Catherine, who was owned by another master, but this man had other views for her and would not let her marry William Henry. William Henry was Queen Mother Harriet's brother. On one of Harriet's journeys, this brother had made up his mind to make one of her next parties to the north, and that Catherine should go also. So he had made up his mind to take Catherine with him to the north. He went to a tailor and bought a new suit of clothes for a small person and concealed them inside of the fence of the garden of Catherine's master. Concealed them at Catherine's master's house. This garden ran down from the bank of a little stream, and Catherine had been notified where to find the clothes. When the time came to get ready, Catherine boldly walked down to the foot of the garden, took up the bundle, and hiding under the bank, she put on the man's garments and sent her own floating down the stream. So Catherine went to go get the garments that William Henry, Queen Mother Harriet's brother, had hid for her. She took off her womanly clothing, put on the manly clothing, and sent her clothes down the stream. But in a movie, they showed a woman dressed in man's clothing in a wagon bringing the hidden fugitives across the bridge. That was a lie. She was soon missed, and all the girls in the house were set to look for Catherine. Presently, they saw coming up from a river a well-dressed, darky boy, and they all ceased looking for Catherine and stared at him. He walked directly by them, round the house and out of the gate, within the slightest suspicion, being excited as to who he was. And a few weeks from that time, this party was all safe to Canada. So they did not even realize it was Catherine leaving the plantation, because Catherine was dressed as a boy. And Queen Mother Harriet got Catherine and her brother William Henry to safety. But in the movie, that's not what they portrayed. Let me go on. William Henry died in Canada, but I have seen and talked with Catherine at Harriet's house. Now, Catherine is about to tell Sarah Bradford, the person who helped write this book, the story. I am not quite certain which company it was that was under her guidance on the northward way, but at one time, when a number of men were following her, she received one of her sudden intimations, that was the visions that she got, that danger was ahead. Children, she said, we must stop here and cross this river. They were on the bank of a stream of some width, and apparently a deep and rapid one. The men were afraid to cross. The men were afraid to cross. There was no bridge and no boat, but like her great pattern, she went forward into to cross over, but to her was literally fulfilled the promise. Determination, wait, I'm sorry. For she said Mrs. D. Water come above my chin. When we thought surely we were going under, it became shallower and shallower. So the water, when Harriet went through the water, which they showed in the movies, the water only came to her chin. And as she kept walking, the water got less deep. It was shallow as she kept walking. And when everyone saw that, they all followed her. This is from Catherine's mouth herself, telling how they got across the river. They did not put that part in the movie, but they did show that a vision came to her and she knew at the time to go left, and they did show her cross the river. But the story is important because in the movie, if you let them tell it, the black trader was hiding in the tree. And as the black trader saw her fall to her knees, he saw her get a vision, and as she got up and thwarted his plans when she said to the people that she was leading to freedom that we have to go left. And when the trader went back to the bridge because he was shocked that he saw them cross the river, he said, I lost them. And the white slave master in the movie hit him over the head and knocked him out. That was a lie. That was a lie. That was a lie. That was a lie. That was for Hollywood. That was a lie. But we sending our children to believe this. And so here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to get out of here because I can go on and on and on. Y'all got to get the book. Y'all got to get the book. This is from Queen Mother Harriet's mouth herself, with documentation to prove it in the appendix of the book. It even has footnotes to approve accounts that can be looked. Because remember, escape. So they couldn't write a lot of it down. But the people in which Queen Mother Harriet talks about in her book were all verified. It was all verified. And letters were written to the writer of this book, proving what Queen Mother Harriet said. Letters written by Quakers and by enslaved, or not enslaved Africans, but free Africans that knew how to read and write. So before we rush our children into this movie, where they're highlighting all the black people as snitches. They're highlighting all the black people that was helping the white people as violent, right? They're highlighting the white people all as benevolent. They're not showing the account of her childhood, how she came about these visions. They're not showing how they treated her. They're not showing the injury that she sustained from an overseer. They're not showing how she was asked to help tie up the enslaved African that the overseer was going to beat, and she refused to do so, and helped him to escape and got into the way of him, and the weight hit her in the head where he was trying to throw it at the man, the enslaved African running out the house trying to throw the weight at him, and it hit her in the head. They didn't capture any of that. They didn't capture the white women beating her and whipping her, and that's how she got all her marks on her, was from the hands of a white woman. They didn't show that. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a real serious problem. Our children deserve to know the truth. We deserve to know the truth. And as I said over and over and over again, As I said over and over and over again, we must know our own story. We must know our narrative. And if we take the time to discipline ourselves and to study and to learn and to travel for the purpose of learning and not just for vacation to have fun, if we take the time and do it, we will uncover much of the truth. And they don't like to fund our truth. On my year-long journey with Dr. Umar Johnson and us going to many of our ancestors' travel routes and where they were at, many of them, the historic properties and museums that held the stories were not properly funded because the truth is in there. And as I stated on my Facebook page, the truth is worth more than silver and gold. And that is the reason why it is hidden. But we have to travel to learn. We cannot sit still and think that everything is going to come to us by way of the white man, because his story is hardly ever true. We have to do our own research. It is there. It is there. We have to understand the difference between an ally and a friend. We have to understand that. But if we keep allowing Hollywood to create these kind of movies and we support it, we will believe that they are all our friends, that they are all our allies. And that is far from true. That is far from true. Because Hollywood will not portray their people as the wicked devils that they are. Hollywood is not going to show people throwing weights in people's heads. Hollywood is not going to show women whipping 6, 7, 8-year-old little girls. Hollywood is not going to show the truth about how families were strategically sold off and that they didn't care about us as families. And our families to this day still remain a threat and still is at risk to this day, to this very day. And if we don't really understand what is happening, we will believe everything that he tells us because it is his story. So family, I love every last one of you for staying through. I mean, we're doing dope on YouTube, hitting up to 500 viewers. You know, Facebook almost 100. I want you guys to realize on Facebook, y'all got to come over to YouTube because I'm going to get off of this platform because this platform is probably ran by the descendants of the very devils that enslaved us because they like to shut my page down. But I'm going to keep on speaking the truth. And I'm going to keep on backing it up. And I'm going to keep on telling you what the truth is, whether you like it or not. So don't believe the hype. Not every person of African descent in America was enslaved. Not every Black person in America was enslaved. Not every Black person or African person of African descent in America was illiterate or poor or scared. Oh, Lord. That's how they like to portray. Oh, Lord, I'm so scared. That is a lie. We have some bold warriors among us now, and then more than now. We got too many scaredy cat now. We've been watered down, manipulated, brainwashed, conditioned, socially engineered. We're watered down now. But we have had a history of warriors. Not just Nat Turner, not just Tula. We have a history, both men and women, warriors. We've been fighting this fight for a very long time. We've been fighting this fight for a very long time. And there has been so many people that look like us along the way that's been fighting with us. Yes, and Nanny too from Jamaica. and Nanny too. There's a lot of warriors. We can keep on. Toussaint, Toussaint was a war. We have a lot of warriors. Ain't nobody better to tell our story but us. But we cannot tell the story if we don't know the history. So when you see people like me that come on to say things that is true, but it makes you feel some kind of way, it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable because your mind has been conditioned and you have been engineered to believe his story, not history, his story. Before you get upset, before you get angry and tell lies saying that we're spreading hate, before you report our pages, before you try to sabotage our movement, why don't you just sit down and do your research? Why don't you just sit down and read? Don't listen to everybody you see on YouTube or every program that PBS puts out or National Geographic puts out. All of that stuff is not true. You can look at it to write stuff down and then do your own research. Now, I gave you the book. It is up to you to go get it. Harriet Tubman, The Moses of Her People, written by Sarah Bradford. It is your responsibility to read it. This is from Harriet herself. Stop believing PBS because PBS is funded by the government. If you don't believe me, look it up. And the government has never been our friend. Stop believing the National Geographic. Stop believing anything that's funded by our enemies. Stop believing the Associated Press. Stop believing the Washington Post. Before you sit down and believe anything, you got to check the funding. You got to check where the money is coming from. They are on a mission to divide us. They are on a mission to weaken us. And they are on a mission to keep us dependent on them. This woman accomplished so much with pennies. Her own money. Her own money. Her own money. Her own money. But we will believe that is their money that make it possible for us to get to our freedom. We will believe that it's because of them we are free. They knew what was up. They don't tell you guys about all the slave revolts. They don't tell you about how nuanced this whole thing was and how dangerous it was coming for them. It was becoming for them. They don't tell you that. They knew for a fact it was getting nasty. It was getting downright dirty because we was coming for our freedom. And we was coming hard body. Men, children, women, and dogs, all was going to get it. We were revolting and rebelling everywhere. But they don't tell you about it on purpose. They do exactly what Hollywood did. Make it seem like we are weak and we always need a Moses. We always need a leader. And if there are no leaders, we're not going to do anything. Now, rest assured in her book, she'll tell you about people came on a journey and they would get scared. They would get scared on the journey and decide it was going to turn back. And she would point that gun at them and let them know, dead man tell no stories. Let them know it's either you're going to come or you're going to die. Because she knew the risk. She knew the risk. We know the risk. So we can't keep scaredy cats in our circle. And for those who don't want to recognize that we are still trying to get free, leave them right where they are. We have a powerful history. Those of us who come from a lineage of chattel slavery here in America, all of us around the world do. But I'm only talking right now about us who come from this lineage. We have a powerful story and a powerful history, and it needs to be known and respected. And for those of us who cannot respect it, we got to cut them at the knees. Figuratively speaking, put the bullet in their head and keep it moving. Keep it moving. Yes, I agree with you. Who's that? Love Safari, stop sending our children to their schools. But that's a whole nother video. That is my review on this movie. Don't waste your money. Don't go see it. I'm not even getting caught up in all the other controversy. I agree with a lot of people are saying. There's some things I agree with. There's some things I do not agree with. What people are saying about the actors and stuff like that. There's things I agree with and things I do not agree with. And that's not the here or there. I'm not going to have that kind of conversation. I'll keep my thoughts to myself. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, do not go see this movie. Don't waste your money. But I know many of y'all ain't going to listen to me anyway. You're going to go ahead and see the movie. If you're going to go see the movie, at least watch this video and watch it in its entirety and take your notes and do your own research. If you're going to go see your movie, go ahead and buy that book and read it first. Because if not, they're going to tug on your emotions, because that's what Hollywood does. They're going to tug on your emotions. You're going to believe everything to be true. You're going to believe everything to be true. And you're going to walk out saying, that was a good movie. That was a good movie. Go ahead, Queen Mother Hat. Yeah, that's why I tell people all the time, we need the white people. We can't do it without them. That this is what we need. That we got to work together. We got to work together. And I'm not saying that that's not true in some aspects. But I am saying when you know the truth, you know the truth. And there's a difference between a friend and an ally. And we don't have any friends. And that I know that bothers people. I know that really bothers people. But the history points to it. It is not me saying this. I give you guys historical facts all the time, backed by research. Look it up yourself. Got to know the difference between an ally and a friend. Don't go see the movie. That's all I got for y'all. Thank you so much. Look at my family on YouTube. Y'all dope. Thank y'all for sharing the video on YouTube. Look at those numbers. Those numbers are dope. Thank you so much for the donations. I appreciate every one of the donations. Just so you can know, I am a nonprofit. So all my donations that come in don't go to me. They go to the people that I work with. They go to the programs that I run, that I'm running right now in Newark. That's where it goes. It doesn't go to me whatsoever. I don't spend any of the people's money. I don't need to spend the people's money. Right? I don't spend any of the people's money. The people's money go to the people. And that's what it's really about. So I thank every last one of you guys for all that y'all do for me. I thank you for the gifts. I got somebody's gifts in my office the other day. I forgot it. Anton, I think it is. I forgot it at my office. But I will publicly come on and thank you for your gift. I appreciate it. Don't go see the movie. Thank y'all for sharing the video. I apologize for the quality of the video on Facebook, because my camera is at my office. But I do appreciate you guys. Don't forget, I'll be at the Texas on, I'll get there Thursday, but the event is on Saturday. I will see you guys in Texas. I will be speaking on the relationship between the black man and the black woman. I stay in my lane. That's all I talk about always, is the black man and the black woman. I'll be speaking on that. I will see you guys in Texas. If you have not already gotten your tickets, I suggest you go to the blackagendamovement.com, the blackagendamovement.com, the blackagendamovement.com. Purchase your tickets. I will see you all in Texas. And those who have already met me, you already know that I give hugs. I love everyone, right? Unless your energy is, I won't get a hug from you, because I pick up energy. I do this for a living. But I can't wait to see you guys all on this Saturday. Peace and blessings. Share the video, and I'll see you guys on Saturday.